Welcome to the next segment of the Art of Women Tampa Bay Art Chat. And this is a very, very special edition. Today I have my spouse, Dr. Sandi Eveleth, here with us today. And Sandi does so many things. It's hard to cover in one segment, but she is a digital marketing strategist, a movie editor, and web designer that can teach you anything you would need to know about online strategies, digital marketing, website creation, or moving editing. And that is just kind of scratching the surface on what she can do. I think that her ability to assimilate information and teach it to others is outstanding. And I'm going to tell you too, she is an optometrist and co-owned a practice in Fort Myers for 15 years, a very successful practice, and has had online and digital marketing experience totaling 20 years. And we live here in Tampa, Florida now. And Sandi is the rock star editor on our latest documentary, Because of Sam. So Sandi, welcome. And
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
I don't know. I think you pretty much covered it all. Just that my passion definitely lies with helping people really elevate their presence online. And I absolutely love video editing, video marketing, and filmmaking. And thank you for allowing me to be the editor on that magnificent film.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a dream come true to be able to get Because of Sam finally produced and monetizable out there in the community, and into the world. And another skill that you have is you know how to make online courses. And my Power Hack Playbook online course is something that, because in March we had to stop doing in-person trainings and empowerment events in person due to the COVID pandemic, you and I pivoted, and you helped me create and finalize the Power Hack Playbook course and make it an online offering so people can take the course in the comfort and privacy of their own home. So talk about that process and what you did to make that happen.
Sure. And I love helping people with creating those kind of courses. So what we needed to do was to videotape you to present the course. So, we came up with the scripts and came up with the different modules and lessons and videotaped you using just a regular camera. And we do have a teleprompter, so we learned how to do that and use an iPad that allowed you to read the script, portions of it at least. And we also did some screen capturing, which means that when you're demonstrating something that might involve showing them software or just discussing something in particular, we can actually capture that on a computer screen. And I was able to edit that and put that all together. The other thing that we do that kind of amps up a course is to put an introduction or intro that has music and fly-in logo and information about the actual module. And at the end, we do what we call an outro, which is just the end of the module to signify that that particular lesson is over. And also bring in a lot of different text, animations, things that help the learner understand what it is that you're teaching them. And just edit all of that and put it up into a piece of software that basically sits behind a sort of a virtual wall that your buyers will need to buy the course, and then they can have access to the lessons and modules. So all of that takes place with software. There's several out there, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of technical that goes along with it. There's a lot of guidance that's needed to make sure that the course is interesting and stays on task and on track. So.
Well, I was blown away by what you created. Taking the Power Hack Playbook curriculum that I'd taught previously in person, and formulating it so that it was delivered and able to be delivered virtually. The videos, the PowerPoints, the downloadable tools, all of that is contained in this online portal. And I was absolutely floored by how it came out. And we weren't planning to do that. We had to pivot in the pandemic,
Right.
and say, okay, we'd had it on the back burner to do it, but we weren't planning on doing it at that time. So it's there, and we did it. People can find it at powerhackplaybook.com. And that's just one of those things that just absolutely is needed today. A lot of people are at home, needing to learn things. A lot of people that were having to get training in person, credentialing, and different things that now can be delivered to people at home and while they're sitting in their pajamas. So the things that you know how to do, there's just so many of those. And teaching, talk about teaching and kind of what you have to offer people and what you enjoy teaching.
Sure. I absolutely love training. It's done very similar to what we're doing right now as an interview over Zoom. I used to do some training in person, but I love now virtually sitting side by side by a client. If they want to learn software, certain pieces of software, I'm well versed in many, and just pretty much let them take over the controls and I guide them. It's sort of a do it with you. If they want to learn how to do video editing, I teach them how to do that. If they want to set up their own website, then I'll teach them how to do that. If they want to learn how to optimize their blog posts or their social media, what are the best ways to do that? I'll teach them how to do that. I also teach them how to get to high up on Google if they want to get their company's website up there when people are searching for certain products or services that they may actually provide. Yeah. So all of those things, I love doing that. It's usually done in chunks of 1 or 2 hours. And I meet them where they're at. It's a customized training program so that I find out ahead of time what it is they actually need and present it. I'm ready to go as soon as we turn on the Zoom meeting. A lot of times I'll show, I'll bring them into letting them see what I'm doing online. And again, all of that, we can do that virtually with just doing some screen share.
Right. Like right now, Zoom. For example, just to teach people, if we wanted to, we could bring in a screen of something that Sandi would be presenting me to teach me. We literally could bring it into Zoom, in case you don't know that about Zoom. Absolutely. And I learned that from Sandi, who's taught me how to actually use Zoom and sit here and talk to you right now. Funny story. And another feather in Sandi's cap, as you may know, I worked in the government for 20 years. One of the jobs that I had required suddenly that I know QuickBooks. And in a pinch, Sandi remotely, actually by phone, taught me QuickBooks. So, the breadth of understanding and knowledge of softwares and things that you have is just mind-boggling. And, you're also someone that I think is you study and you stay on top of what's going on. There's never a minute that you're not, learning and in groups online, and you're really hanging out in the places with some of these folks that are, really at the top of the game in the world with softwares, digital marketing. And you've taught me a great deal about all of that, and your ability to assimilate information and then teach it to lay people in lay people's terms is incredible. So, as on an hourly rate basis is typically how you would work in order to teach people these things and handhold and support. So sure. Let's talk specifically about how these entrepreneurs and creatives, which is a lot of the folks that I try to focus on, and women in particular with the Art of Women group. Tell me some really quick wins that you would tell folks that have websites or have presence online and they want to be found through
Sure.
searches and be known out there for their
Sure.
craft?
Well, the first thing I do, I always start with a foundation, and I'm always surprised at how many business owners, creatives, solopreneurs, freelancers don't understand this concept. And it's the concept of understanding who your ideal customer is. And I now call them an ideal human. And without understanding who they are, you're going to waste a lot of time, money, and effort in marketing to possibly the wrong person. There's an old adage of when you market to everyone, you market to no one. So it's vital that you understand who it is that you're serving, and it could be one person, it could be five people, but you've got to define them, and there's ways to do that. And I teach people how to do that so that they're not wasting time talking, writing content, trying to optimize all of their different spaces for the wrong people, because you don't want to attract people that aren't interested in what you're doing. So you're basically writing content that gets into the minds of your ideal person. So that's the first thing that I teach people how to do. And then what I'll do is I'll do an audit of their website and when their social media, and just see, first of all, have they optimized it for those visitors, for those ideal people, just so that we can make sure that the way things are written, that the person who's on the site knows that they're at the right place and that they're going to be able to buy the right thing.
Give me an example of that.
So if, for instance, I could use my own website. In one of my businesses, my ideal client are other optometrists, because that, as an eye care provider in the past, that's who I want to speak to. I want to help them
Sure.
elevate their profits. So I certainly don't want to put anything on my website that says dentists or dentistry. I know how optometrists speak. I know how they think. I've been in the industry for 30 years. So I truly know what their problems are, what their pain points are. And those are the kind of things that you want to make sure you're getting on the website, is you're going to present the kind of problems that they're thinking about. Sometimes you want to present pain points and problems that they might not even have realized they have until they get to your website and realize that that's those are the things that you're going to be able to solve. So you want to, I make sure that they have that on there. I want to make sure that they have the way that someone who visits their site can contact them. I'm always amazed that their call to action, what we call a call to action. In other words, if, like for you, for instance, if you want someone to come to your website and coach with you, you want to make sure that your phone number or your contact information is easily found. And we call that above the fold, where before they even have to scroll down your site, can they tell how they can get in touch with you? Is there a way to capture emails so that you can communicate with them? Maybe they're not ready to work with you yet, but once they, if you can give them something for free, some sort of tidbit or information, or, a PDF download, something that makes sense, again, for your ideal human, that they definitely want to give their email to you for, you can then collect that email and start an email marketing campaign where you start communicating with them. Give them all kinds of valuable advice. Go ahead.
And I know, giving free advice, giving some preliminary free downloads and some things, it builds trust. And I know you've taught me that you want your customers to know, like, and trust you. And those things, and having information that meets their needs and solves their problems on the website preliminarily, gets them comfortable with you. And so talk to me more about getting found online. Know your avatar. You'll do an assessment to help people look at their platforms to see if they're meeting that
Right.
that goal of being amenable to their potential customers or humans. So what
Right.
else?
One of the main things that has happened in the last few years with Google, because we know that for the most part, people are going on Google and they use the word, I'm Googling something. So what happens is when you type something in and you hit the enter bar or space, when you hit the enter key, Google will send to you a page. It's called the search engine results page. And we all know what that means. It's, when I look at, if I type in Tampa coach or Tampa producer, we would certainly love Renee Warmack Productions to pop up at the top. And we want them to be in the top 3. So we want to write content that not only talks to your location, because you are local as well as, on the internet in general, but to capture local people, you want to make sure that your location is there, and what it is that you do. Going deeper, what are the problems that you solve? So you want to make sure that you're creating blog posts that talk about things that people are searching for, or what Google calls search intent. So you want to put, posts out there that talk about, buying something, or where is something, or directions to something if it is a local business. So I teach people how to use search intent words so that when someone types something in that they're looking for a solution, that your site is the first site that comes up to solve that problem. They might be typing, they're typing in something to figure out what it is that they need to have solved.
When people nowadays are so busy and so distracted and so attention, is so short sometimes. To your point, whenever they can just type in a couple words, and they sometimes will just go with that, I can't remember what you call it, like 3-pack or something, where these 3 or 4
yes,
that just
the top
come
3
up,
results,
the
right.
top 3 results, and it's like, oh my gosh, because they came up, oh, those look interesting, I'll just go with them, when in fact the better vendor, the better company may not have come up there, but they just haven't done the work of what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Let me talk about blogs for a minute. For example, on my website, Renee Wormack Productions, you've taught me, and we have on there an actual menu item called blog. I will create something that I feel is beneficial to my clients, my potential clients. You'll put it up on the blog. We'll also email it often out to our email list for Renee Wormack Productions.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of people understanding, the blog is something that you should have, and talk about that, should have on their website,
sure,
right?
Absolutely. And that is how, I'll talk about Google as if it were a person. Google loves it when you have a lot of content on your website, and blog posts are the way to keep pushing out content. It's what we call dynamic. You keep updating it, or you create new content. So the more content you get up there that basically solves a problem that your ideal human is looking for, the more likely you're going to get to the top of that page, that 3-pack. And in fact, it's well known in the marketing industry that if a consumer is looking for something to buy, whether it's a product or service, and they type that in, I think it's about 70% chance they're going to go with the first result, the top person in that 3-pack. And it's something like 20-something% for the second. And then just, the third person is the remainder. So most of the time, no one looks beyond the first 3 results on that page. So the more you can create content that serves value to your ideal human, the more likely they're going to find you and work with you instead of somebody else. So that's the first step of getting them to know who you are.
I also want to talk about a blog a little bit further.
Sure.
A blog can be something that is an interactive, where you can turn on or turn off whether you allow commenting on the blog. Sure. I currently have mine turned off because I'm not going to do the care and feeding of sitting there dealing with comments right now. I'm just not at that place in my amount of time I have to do that. I do a lot of back and forth on Facebook when I post these different things on Facebook, etc. So a blog is another way to get content out there to your potential or existing clients. So anything else on that you want to touch on? I know also if you get into the media, and have some results. Talk about how we've posted some of those things as well when we've had.
Well, sure. To address the reason I highly recommend that you have a blog post is it's your real estate. Anytime you're posting to any of the other social media platforms, in any moment, all of your information can come down. Mark Zuckerberg could decide
Such a good point.
Sure. That, Zuckerberg could say, I don't want to do Facebook anymore. Yep. And all of those videos, pictures, posts that you did are gone. So anything that you're going to post over on social media, it's a really good idea to put it on your blog first and then bring it to your social media, whether you're copying just the link or you're bringing some of the information over there. But I always say, start with your blog first. That's your home. I love it. That's your virtual brick and mortar store. That's where you give all the information, and then you bring it over to the rest of the post.
I love it too that that keeps you in control, that you have it on your website. And also
Absolutely.
through your email campaign, you control that separate from all
Yep.
this disruption that's going on in these social marketing areas. What a great point to bring up, especially right now. I also like that once we put it on the blog, we have that link to the blog post that drives traffic to my website. Talk about that
Yes.
for a minute as it relates to getting the
Well,
information out.
again, it's Google loves it when you continue to put content out there. So when you write a blog post, it's always a good idea to have what we call internal links pointing to your website. You're already on the website, but you're also pointing to itself, or you're pointing to other internal pages. And that also elevates you in the eyes of Google. So that, again, it's going to bring you up higher in that 3-pack location. You can also point to external websites, and if it's a good, highly regarded website, there's a chance that they will turn around and point to your website. And anytime that happens, that also elevates you in the eyes of Google. So
Well,
anything that you can do to get attention from other websites is vital, especially if it's in your industry and it's a website that your ideal human is looking at as well.
like the media.
And the media. Every time you're in the media, you want to put a link to that article.
Yeah.
So you'll highlight any kind of online blog posts. If there's any videos, if you've been interviewed in the media, on TV, local, national, etc., you can point that from your website to them. And sometimes those media outlets will actually point to your website.
Yeah.
And again, typically a media outlet is regarded very highly by Google. So if you can get what we call it, it's called a backlink when another website links to you. When they do that, that elevates you quite a bit.
And we have on ReneeMormackProductions.com, we have a press kit and a section where when we have gotten some press, radio or TV or print, you'll help me take that link to the TV segment or radio segment or whatever, and actually create a blog post out of it. So it's not like, hey, slap it up there. Oh, here's this thing. We actually talk about it. So talk about how we make a story out of it so that it can.
Well, and that goes to how much you can repurpose a piece of content. So if someone for instance, if someone interviews you, let's say, ABC morning show locally interviews you, a lot of times they'll put it on YouTube. So what you can do is on the press kit, you're just going to have line item links that are then going to point to a blog post that we've written about that particular interview. We've probably also gone over to YouTube, and most of the time they allow it. You can go grab what's called an embed link, and you bring that back over to that blog post that we're writing about that interview, and you embed it right on the site so that when someone goes on that blog post, they're going to see an actual YouTube video. They don't have to bounce off and go externally to the YouTube, website. They can actually view it right within your blog post.
I love it.
And because Google owns YouTube is considered the second largest search engine on the internet.
Good point.
And internet gives you a huge pat on the back for bringing over a video onto your blog post. So you now get another, you get kudos all over from Google. So that helps to elevate you in the eyes of the search engine results.
You talked about repurposing content, and I think I try to really maximize how different pieces that we put out get maximized. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. You taught me about a guy named Ping Jun, and we say,
yes.
So talk about that and how you can take one piece in the various ways and what the benefit of that is when you do in the various ways to blow something out. Just walk us through maybe an example.
Sure. So let's use an example that you're doing an interview with somebody. I happen to be in the sidelines also taking some video. That's approved. They're allowing us to do it, a little behind the scenes video. So, you come home, we upload that video to YouTube. We maximize how we optimize that YouTube description, the tags, etc. We'll grab that video, we'll bring it into the blog post, we'll talk about maybe the behind the scenes, we'll have another blog post that talks, that actually brings in the video directly from that news organization. So we now have 2 blog posts.
Yep.
We'll have each of those point to each other. They're optimized to be seen, high up on the search engines. Then you'll bring that over into the email campaign. We'll have at least 2 emails that will go out that'll talk about the behind the scenes and then talk about the interview itself. And then you'll be able to go over onto Twitter, to Facebook, any of your social media platforms, and point back to the blog post. We can also take that video, at least the behind the scenes video, because we own that video, and we can upload that, what we call organically. We don't have to bring over the blog post link. We don't have to bring over YouTube. We'll just upload it directly to Facebook or Twitter or any of the other platforms. And those platforms prefer that you do that. They like it when no one leaves their particular platform.
Right.
But, and you can, you might revisit it in a month or 2 when there's some sort of comment that someone might have made about the interview, or you might have another take on it, and you can go back to that content and what we call repurpose it and use it again, but put a new spin on it, and maybe write another post and say something else about it. So all kinds of opportunities. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So I want to talk about the thing that blows my mind the most that you do, and it's in I'm a movie filmmaker in terms of production and direction and writing and research. I like to promote as well, and I'm comfortable being the face and the publicist with a movie. I am not an editor. And the editors and the mind of an editor just is so fascinating to me. First of all, you have to put up with producers like me. And talk to me about, the various softwares in editing, and how, if somebody has no clue but really digs it and wants to get started, how they can kind of take baby steps and ultimately end up maybe being more experienced and more advanced like you are with it.
Sure. And just real quick to talk about video, since we're talking about marketing, whether we're talking about filmmaking or using video in your marketing content plan, I'll tell you that all of the platforms absolutely love video. It gets the most engagement. It keeps people on the platform longer, and the platforms know that. So anytime you post video to a platform, you're going to get rewarded with more views to that particular piece of content.
Good point.
So, I think nowadays we can all be considered filmmakers if we're using video in our marketing plans, whether we're hiring somebody or doing it ourselves. So going to the absolute basic, I highly recommend all of you get out there and just shoot video. And I mean, just grab your phone and just start shooting. You just need a beginning, middle, and end. Just have a little story, whether it's 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes, whatever. But you can edit right from your phone. There are different softwares that I recommend. If you haven't, I'm much more well-versed in the Apple world. So I know that on the iPhone, you have iMovie right there.
Yep.
You can absolutely edit very quickly. I think I edited an ad for you one time that took maybe all of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That was about a minute long, that was marketing an event that you were having. And I did it completely from the phone. I'll be honest with you, I surprised myself with it. There's special effects, there's sounds, there's music. There's all kinds of things that are right there in that little teeny, video studio.
And Videorama too. Videorama is an app.
Well, Videorama, you and I both love that one. There's another one that I've been using a lot. I tend to do this on the iPad. And again, when you're in the Apple world, you have the ability to, everything is in the cloud. So you can take one piece of content and bring it into another device. So with just I think it's the 11-inch version of my iPad, I end up using something called Video Leap, which they have a whole suite of products, and they're more expensive than your typical app, but I'll tell you that you can really create professional looking videos, films, short films, if you will, with those kind of apps and software. So for the mobile devices, Videorama, Video Leap, and iMovie are some of my favorite apps that, to use on.
What did you use? What did you use to edit because of Sam? And that's
Sure,
the most robust system that there is
sure.
right now.
Typically in the industry, one of the main software suites is the Adobe suite, and Premiere Pro and After Effects are the two softwares that I use for the most part for the video. And they have a whole suite. There's audio that we use as well to edit some of that. But that's one of the industry standards. There's a couple of others, but yeah, I mean, it's what, any of these movies that you're watching on the big screen are done in Premiere Pro. So, I have access to that. That's what I use. For the course creation, I can either use that or I actually use a software called Camtasia. And I'll tell you that there were some parts in the movie that I actually went back to Camtasia because it's just so easy. It's a much more user-friendly. There's not as much time to learn how to use it. Where, you can incorporate all these different softwares and no one knows that you're doing that because the product just comes out and looks beautiful.
And then just, however you reach your outcome,
Exactly.
I don't think anybody cares. Okay, we're going to wrap up a little bit here. I want to hear your advice to creatives out there.
Sure.
Whatever you feel, you know who the group is that we talked to. You helped me produce the Art of Women Tampa Bay events. You're involved right here with me with all that we're doing. And so, what would you like to offer in terms of advice or inspiration in any way?
Well, sure. Just, try not to get overwhelmed by what's out there. There's a lot of people that know how to do things and, don't be afraid to reach out. Both Renee and I know how to do a lot of this, so we can certainly help you with the content marketing. The biggest piece of advice is that first piece that I told you, really understand who your ideal customer is, your ideal human. Understand them as though you're getting into their head. Know how to speak with them. Know what it is that they want. Know what you can provide for them in the form of content or products and services at the highest value. Get on camera. Don't be afraid. It's the fastest way for your ideal human to know, like, and trust you. And it's sort of that shortcut to, having to market to them 15 times or 11 times. When you can show yourself on video and you get to know them, you get to see how they talk, what their cadence is, you feel like you know them very quickly. And when you know, like, and trust someone, that's when you're going to buy from them, and you're going to go ahead and follow them all over social media. So that's
great advice. Great advice. So, Sandi, how can people find you and contact you in order to work with you?
Sure. Best place to find me really right now is on LinkedIn. You'll see that I may be marketing especially for the eye care industry, but everything that I post over there is for any kind of company. But I answer DMs, so go ahead and find me, connect with me, and just shoot me a behind the scenes message and I'll get back to you. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you. I certainly enjoyed this and appreciate it. This is Renee Warmack, producer, speaker, coach, and the Art of Women Tampa Bay Art Chat.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was great being here.